The peace of the Lord be with you. We are following the Gospel for this Sunday, which is found in Matthew 10, 24 to 29. You can find that in the website. Follow it through if you like. And friends, I greet you with the words of Jesus who says, "Whoever publicly acknowledges me, I will acknowledge before my Father in heaven." Jesus is sending us out. He's given authority to all his followers. Not just the disciples back then, but his followers in the world today. That's you and me. We have the wonder of his power and love and his presence. God gives the authority to heal and even to drive out evil spirits. He's given us power to boldly share the good news. And now he's giving us some tips about going about this work. It's really something of a rite of passage moment for them and for us today in the world. His followers have been with him long enough to know what he's about. They know what he will stand for and what he will not stand for. They have heard the instructions of Jesus about their work, and they are ready to say yes to the cost and joy of discipleship or to say no. They can, if they like, pull the pin and go back home. Now, I wonder if Simon Peter, Andrew, James and John and the rest of them who had heard these instructions of Jesus to go out with the good news had decided to decline. Wouldn't everything they had been through with Jesus up to that point been a waste of time? Then what about the teachings of Jesus they'd learned? The teachings about God's love being for all people, regardless of who they were or where they came from. His teachings about how the spirit of the law is far more important than the letter of the law. Teachings about the dignity of people being much more important than any religious teachings or social taboos. Wouldn't all that too have been a waste of time? Today I wonder the same about our church. Yes, even our dear little church. More and more people are leaving the church and finding no relevance in it. Think of the individuals and the families who have walked away from our church. And think also today of what happens. More and more weddings are happening outside of a religious context. And the same is true for funerals. Churches are declining in numbers. Some of our little neighbouring congregations have been closing their doors. I wonder, has the church today become a waste of time? I wonder too how it will be when some of these restrictions are lifted further. What will it be like when we're able to gather in our church as we did before? Will more and more people return to church, as some are saying? Or will more and more people not even bother coming to church? Will they have become too comfortable in having their Sunday morning off just to stay at home? And then importantly, how will you and I respond? When Fred or Mary are no longer in the pews and we notice that, what will we do? Will we just sigh in disappointment? Or will we connect with them and let them know how much we're really missing them and invite them back into our homes and back into God's family, the church? As Christians, we claim to be following Jesus, don't we? We hear the same instructions about the life of discipleship. In church, we sing songs about God's presence with his people. We have the assurance that his eye is even on the humble sparrow. In church, we learn that following Jesus may include suffering to the point of death. But we're always in God's hands. In church, we hear the call of Jesus to take up the cross and follow him into all the areas of our broken human world. Then when worship ends, we leave church and we go out into the world. There we are presented with confirming moments for us to confirm or deny the experience we have in church of Jesus. But when that call for us to follow Jesus involves risk, how quickly are we tempted to dismiss what we have experienced in church, even if that risk is as small as sacrificing some of our time? The call of Jesus compels us to see the face of him in everyone we see and meet, doesn't it? The call to give something as simple as food for the hungry, a drink for the thirsty, a welcome to the stranger, clothes to the poor, or a visit to those who are sick or in prison. Ministry to our community invites us opening our doors, doesn't it? It challenges us to be the church who does not stand in judgment of others, but with open hearts and ready hands is there to serve, regardless of the situation and circumstances. The fact that we are called not to judge others, but to serve them is a really liberating thing for us, isn't it? It means we're not ruled by the law, but we're ruled by the love of Jesus. When God's love inspires us, it frees us to take risks, doesn't it? It releases us to do in the world what Jesus did. Will we be willing to welcome strangers and not be put off by the fear of what might happen if one of them gets hurt on our grounds? Will we joyfully include others and not worry if they mess up our rooms a little bit? If it is true that mainline churches are in decline, perhaps there is a clear reason why. It is because we who go to church are not living in the outside world what we hear in church. What we learn about Jesus is not shown in our life, in our homes, in school and at work, in the world where we live and work. Other people don't see the love of God in our actions. The church is not a building that we protect from the risks of suffering and divisions, or even death. The church is God's people in the world living God's law of love as Jesus did. The church is people who breathe, reflect, and live the life of Jesus himself. Anything less than Jesus is simply a waste of time. This is a good test for us now as we are not able to meet in the church. What does the world really see when it looks at us? Does it see God's love in the way we care for each other? Does it see God's welcome in the way we invite others and welcome them into our homes? Does it see God's acceptance in the way we are open to other people? Does it see the hope we have in Jesus, in the joyful way we live our life in both good times and difficult times? God's love in Jesus is not simply something for us to receive. God's love is for us to live. He sends us out with his love to love others as we are loved by him. Are you doing that in your life now? Especially with some of the restrictions being lifted? Jesus makes it clear, whoever publicly acknowledges me, I will also acknowledge before my Father in heaven. We do that in the things we say and how we say them and in what we do. Are you keeping connections with the family of God? Are you phoning or messaging or visiting those you know in God's family? Who might you do that for today? Make it happen. Go ahead and do it joyfully. Are you inviting others into your homes and accepting the invitation that they give to you? Offer an invitation to someone today for a cuppa or a meal and some time to pray together. Are you extending the gift of hospitality to others, especially as we're now able to have people in our homes? Jesus is inviting you to do it now. and he'll bless you as you do it. For this is how we show others we know Jesus. We believe in him, we love him, and we follow him. If we are not connecting with each other now, how will we ever connect with the world around us? In Jesus, we find connection with God our Father and with each other. We know that we are forever in his care. We are sent by him into the world. It is through us that his love comes to life. So, by the Spirit's power, let the love of Jesus renew your life. As the Spirit leads you, let the love of Jesus shine in you and through you to reach others. The giving of our time for others is the best way to make God's love real. So live boldly for Jesus, today, tomorrow, and always. For he's blessing you with the wonder of his presence and the power of his love. He calls you to follow him. Do it with joy. God's word is true. Amen.